What's going on? Boys, today we are talking a bit about demon functions, interfacing with them consciously in a structured, maybe even productive way without some traumatic shit happening. So we'll go through some basics, then we'll go through a story of the process at work in an INTP, and then we'll think about what that process might look like for other types. Firstly, for all the INFPs out there, no, you aren't an INFP with really good TI. No matter your type, you are not going to have a buttery smooth, conscious connection with your demon function no matter who you are, no matter how much work you put in. In fact, I don't think we should consider the process or result we're about to get into mastering or getting command of your demon function. What you're doing is beginning a conversation with it. Typically, the way demon functions work, you don't have any access to your demon function, and frankly, you probably don't want to. You might like the idea of having access to your demon function or having mastery over it. However, in practice, if you are, or in theory are, using your demon function, you are not using your dominant function and you're acting totally in conflict with it. That's going to feel unnatural, bad, wrong, stupid on every level. Which begs the question, why would you want anything to do with your demon function? One answer being, what else do you have going on? What else are you up to? Your answer is going to be personal. Maybe you see value in your demon function and want that tool-ish access to it. Maybe you want to become a more or better rounded person or a more whole person. For me, it's more of a matter of wanting to see if it's possible or how possible it is for different people, or if I'm capable of it. Good FI can feel goodness into existence. I want that. So the first step is unshackling your mind a bit. You don't need to change your mind or go out and do things you are uncomfortable with, at least at first. All you need to do is start letting yourself think things, feel things maybe you normally wouldn't. If your conscious functions, your function stack, especially your dominant function, is water, then your life is the river or the indent in dirt the water erodes over time. You are a product of your functions. Again, you don't need to reroute your river, but you can start becoming aware of the land surrounding you, where your water isn't flowing. If you're a fish, you can become aware land exists. That's probably a better way to look at it. You are a fish. And the more you let yourself be aware other things exist, other ways of thinking exist, the more familiar with them you become. Or they aren't covered in as much fog. Instead of you're just knowing they are, in theory, out there, they take shape. And once they have taken shape, then you can consider beginning that conversation with them. But remember, you are not going to be using them. You may one day get a little direct access to your nemesis function, your first shadow function, the others not so much. And I think this process, this conversation, will look different according to each shadow function, the function, and the spot that shadow function is in, because in my experience, beginning to interface with FI is an extraordinarily uncomfortable, distressing, almost antagonistic relationship. But when I think of this with SE, which I haven't done anything with yet, it's not antagonistic at all, it's just not even there. Which is why I think Blind Spot is the perfect name. It's a prophetic name. I don't know how all this shit got put together, but it works. Now we'll start moving more into specifics. My experience with interfacing with FI. After more than a year of trying and failing to understand FI, or get a hold of it, or get inside it, it approached me out of nowhere. And I think you do well to anthropomorphize your functions a bit. It helps. So there's an artist who painted one of his top 10 masterworks a little over 30 years ago, if I'm remembering correctly. And it got stolen from him about that long ago. He contacted my organization first, but me specifically, and asked if I would be willing to receive that piece of stolen artwork that was stolen from him and ship it back to him. Because the guy who currently possessed it did not want to ship it back on his own and be responsible if something were to go wrong, but he made clear the guy who possesses it currently is not the one who stole it. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds really shady. You should not go anywhere near that. But then the artist called me, and over the course of 15 minutes, because he kept babbling, this is very important to him. This is one of his best paintings. He thought he would never see it again. This is a limited time opportunity, and he doesn't have anyone else to turn to. And at that exact moment, the big demon, Fi, put its claws on my shoulders and asked me how I would feel in his position and if I would appreciate the help despite how bad the situation might look. And I am pretty sure this was Demon Fi at work, because every single one of my conscious functions was screaming at me to hang up the phone and not get involved. He could be lying, this could be a setup. Why can't the possessor just mail it themselves or get someone else to do it? Why me? And again, me specifically. Contacted my organization, but asked for me specifically. That's sussy. But Demon Fi, in all its stupidity, the exact stupidity I mock Fi types for, but also enjoy about them, said, this is something you should probably take the risk on and do. This is so unbelievably shady and irrational and potentially dangerous. But yes, if I were in this artist's shoes, I would want the help. So we'll try to make it happen. And I think it's fitting in this story that the two primary players were an INFP, the artist, and an ENFP, the possessor. So as I'm getting ready to receive and then ship this painting, I am researching a bit more, doing a little bit of investigating. It turns out the artist is legit, or as legit as I know how to look for. But the possessor, it sounds like someone either in his family or close to his family was the one who stole it all those years ago. And if I had to guess, he's a little older than I am. Maybe late 20s, a rough late 20s, or an early 30s. Meaning he couldn't have been the one to have stolen it. I still don't understand why he didn't want to ship it himself, because if he wants to do the right thing, not asking for any rewards, by the way, this guy just wanted to see this painting returned to its original owner upon allegedly learning who the original author actually was. Because apparently, in those circles, the artist was lied about, maybe to try to sell it for a lot more money than the painting was worth. So, without having met the guy, he strikes me as someone trying to do the right thing, but the whole not shipping it himself thing was still very suspect. Either super suspect, well, it is super suspect no matter what, but also just stupid. Unless there's some reasoning I don't know, because just not wanting to be liable for something going wrong during the shipping process seems a lot worse than sitting on stolen art. Just strange. So anyway, we meet up so I can receive and then ship the painting. And the dude is kind of exactly what I was expecting. Well-meaning, I think, guy, but just so weird. Uncomfortably weird. Especially considering the possessor and the artist were in communications before coming to me at all. I find out then the possessor was the one who suggested me to be the in-between guy. That's deeply unsettling. Because again, they went through my organization first, but they did it to get to me specifically. But our organization isn't involved in this shit on any level. And he was giving me vibes he might know who I am. And you might think that sounds crazy for a small channel, but in my experience, YouTube and Twitch audiences are psychotic. I've had a few creepy experiences with viewers, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of my audience or interactor with them, at least as much as when I started. But in my head, if that is a possibility or a probability, then I am super on edge. But again, Demon FI is still lurking there in the corner of the room, staring at me, talking to me. So what if the guy, the possessor, is weird and making bad decisions or irrational decisions and making you uncomfortable? You're weird and irrational. This might be how you're feeling, might be the way people look at you. And so far, despite the utter shadiness of the situation, this guy is trying to do the right thing, even if he is going about it in the creepiest, most roundabout way possible. Stay the course. The artist still needs help. Don't stop doing the right thing just because you are uncomfortable. And again, I reiterate, I think this is Demon FI, because FE is the function that was giving me the creepy vibes. FE got the creepy read instantly, the you should run away read. Not FE, probably Demon FI, was the thing that said to stay and see it through. FE would have left. So I received the painting from him, and I am preparing it for shipping, and instead of just leaving, the dude continues speaking with me. Like explaining the significance of the painting to me when I don't care about the significance of what was painted in the painting. I want to get this over with. And I'm non-verbally trying to make that clear, and he just keeps going. He tries to tell jokes that are not funny, especially considering I am literally shaking and crying RN. And I am trying so hard not to be rude, but he's doing that ENFP thing of giving people a bunch of very specific information they don't care about without realizing they don't care about it, and getting really deep into his own narrative of events, and doing it with erratic energy, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not sure how you want me to respond to what you're telling me, and you are not responding the way a normal person would respond in response to signals I'm putting out. I feel like you're either going to hug me or stab me. I'm already very uncomfortable. Please stop standing so close to me and telling me about the time you visited the location painted in this painting and what happened with your friends you went out there with. Please stop. But despite all this, I do think highly of the dude, of the possessor, even though I don't want to be around him because he makes me uncomfortable. The moment he recognized, well, according to his story, the moment he recognized what was actually going on with the painting, he went out of his way to try to do the right thing and return it to the artist, even though he's going about it in the shadiest way possible. And I don't know what to make of that feeling. Really liking someone, but also not wanting to be within 30 feet of them. People with erratic patterns like that are so distressing to try to match. And you might say, well, just be yourself, but that never goes well. So no. Anyway, it got shipped, and the artist sent me some thank you reward money. And at this point, I am already so deep in the conversation with Demon FI, well, I decide I should offer to split the reward money with the possessor because he did something courageous. I later found out, I think that is what was happening, as in they were taking this stolen painting, or the family was taking this stolen painting, and trying to make it out to be a painting from a much more known artist and make a bunch of money off it. And the possessor went behind their backs to get this painting back to the original artist. I think that's a courageous thing. I wouldn't have the balls to do that. And I offer half of the money to the possessor, and the artist, who again I think is an INFP, wants to keep talking to me about it. about his painting, about how excellent the painting is, about how much of a favor he was doing to the people he painted it for, which is another weird FI thing. It's never like I was fortunate to have painted this because it's beyond my abilities now, or together we got this thing done and it all turned out well for everybody. No, it's always I did them a favor. That's one aspect of FI I cannot stand. The constant self aggrandizement, like without. Like when an it's hard to explain. The most direct way of putting what I'm trying to describe I can think of is when an ENFP explained to me why he was doing his girlfriend a favor by fucking her, and meaning that in a completely non-joking way. Anyway, the artist receives the painting, wants to keep talking to me for some reason even though this is done, and I mentioned to him I'm going to split the money he sent me with the possessor. And then the artist goes up in arms saying I shouldn't because the possessor is a criminal. He's creepy, he's weird. He didn't like how weird he was, and he's considering now that he has his painting back after all this bullshit, getting law enforcement involved and trying to do something to get justice. You cunt. You self-serving little cunt. So I have to spend the next 20 minutes talking this cunt out of doing something fucking stupid and shitty because this dude he was, yes, creepy. Stupid? I would say not well socialized, but not stupid. Went out of his way to do the right thing and try to take care of you, and you're gonna try to fuck him up behind his back afterward? You weren't talking like this at all while this all was progressing. Now you want to make a problem? And you're accusing him of stealing it. He's not old enough to have stolen it. Did he steal it in the womb or when he was 1 or something? And again, I think all this, my side of it, is Demon FI, because if I didn't identify with the possessor, I mean, I almost never put myself in someone else's shoes. All my socialization comes from reading other people's signals and responding to them. But I feel like I have been the possessor before. A weird, poorly socialized person trying to do the right thing and getting shit on for it. Maybe it's a happy coincidence, but I felt myself in this guy. So I spend 15 to 20 minutes talking this backsliding cunt out of shooting, essentially, a guy who just took a bunch of risks to help you. I calmed him down, and it ended on what I hope he felt was a positive note. Because this should, you fucking dick, this should have been one of the happiest stories of your life. So many ways this could have gone wrong, and it didn't. And now that you're in the winning position, you want to be a dick, you want to be shitty. It makes me sick. It makes me feel like I need to embody wrath on this fucking cunty little guy. And then the hell of it is, after this conversation, Possessor gets back to me and says I should keep the money and do something nice for people I care about with it, or donate it to my organization, give it to charity, essentially. He doesn't want the money. In this dude, this weird, uncomfortable ass dude, I see a stressfully, precariously high moral, aspirational level. Like, I get the vibe this dude would martyr himself to feed one starving person one meal. And that is both amazing and terrifying. Once again, Demon FI. One part of you says that is what you should be doing. That's what people should aspire to be. The more conscious, rational part of you says, fuck that, get me away from it. I can't handle that. Please stay away. This whole thing was so mentally, emotionally, and morally taxing. I needed a break from sentience for a few days. This is the first time I have ever, I mean, as far as I know, have ever interfaced with FI directly in opposition to my conscious functions, voluntarily and without a traumatic event setting it off. I don't want to do anything like that again anytime soon. In fact, I don't even feel that good about it. The whole thing still makes me feel anxious thinking about it. But for an INTP, it proved you can force yourself against all reason to try to do something that seems like the right thing. And you can effectively identify with very different people by seeing yourself in them, which is another thing that's hard to explain. It's something FI does. It's not reading signals from other people, it's getting into their skin and trying to look around and making an approximation of what they might be seeing or feeling using your own experiences. I did not use FE on that guy, or possessor, because FE would have walked away. I do not, right now, do not want to interact with this guy ever again, but I think the world of him. Contradictions. It's confusing. That's what I think beginning to incorporate or interface with demon functions looks like from an INTP's point of view. Getting into a conversation with your own antagonistic FI in the darkest corners of your mind and doing something deeply uncomfortable that doesn't fuck up. In fact, despite how you might feel about it, did something good-ish. And I think that might be what interfacing with demon functions looks like for other types. As in, I could see an ENTJ prioritizing another person's feelings, not the ENTJ's interpretation of their feelings, but that person's feelings, at the cost of efficiency, or the plan, or what they might view as steadfastly moral. I could see an INFP forfeiting something that could be for what is. Which is insane, I know. But I think it could happen. But I have no idea what it would look like, what interfacing with a demon function would look like if that function were a perceiving function. Still, I think it would look similar enough. Not taking control of the function, because trying to do that is how you burn yourself down or gaslight yourself, but instead opening your mind, getting familiar with things you aren't, and then entering a conversation with them. And then, at the right moment, the righteous moment, you'll know it when it comes, taking their advice. More than advice, actually. Direction. And despite all your discomfort, becoming a little more whole. I have no idea where these conversations stand to take us, but I think it's important to know we can have them, even though they are not fun, not comfortable. But anyway, to reiterate, open your mind a bit, wait until your demon function or shadow functions come into view and approach you. Start a dialogue with them, which is the most cliche way of saying that. I'm amazed that we didn't say that earlier. And then learn from them using actions. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. That whole situation was distressing. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. Do you anthropomorphize your shadow functions? Have you had one of these conversations or direction sessions with your demon function? Let me know. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we had a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you can pack it up and ship it to an ungrateful little shitty person. Because it's a lot of fun. And that's how much we have on this channel. And I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.